Good evening, everybody. We'll be getting started shortly. It's already 6 o'clock, 6:01. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to session. It's 6:01. If you could please rise, and we're going to start with an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. Mark, if you would kindly lead us in an invocation.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for Los Fresnos. We thank you for those here tonight, part of our community that help in many ways. Thank you for those that serve and give of their time for our community. Bless them while they make decisions for our community, and we continue to ask to bless us all. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Any visitors' remarks at this time? Okay, we'll go ahead and proceed to public hearing. Public hearing to discuss changes to TXCDBG project number CDV 21-0095 as part of an amendment to remove the sewer improvement work along 2nd Street between North Alamo Street and Arroyo Boulevard.
I'll introduce it, and then if anybody wants to comment. 2 months ago, you would have heard the same thing read. There was a typo in something, so they asked us to do it again to be sure the procedures are correct. So we're opening it up again. It's 2nd Street there, between Arroyo and Alamo Street, where there was some sewer work that needed to be done, we thought, but it doesn't need to be, so we get to save that money. So this is just removing it from the grant.
Mark, there's no change in cost or anything associated with that change?
Reduces it about
Awesome.
$60,000.
Beautiful.
All right, so it's 6:03. If there's no public information, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. And we'll move on to our consent agenda items. We have a total of 11. If there's any that the council would like to set aside, this is the time to do so, or else make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve all consent agenda items.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 1, discussion and action to pass Resolution 7, 2024, authorizing the submission of an amendment for TXCDBG project number CDV 21095 to remove the sewer improvement work along 2nd Street between North Alamo Street and Arroyo Boulevard. Mark?
This is the one we talked about on the public hearing. And if you'll go to page 70 in your packets, you'll see the credit, $64,676. So that's the change, decrease.
Any questions or comments or motion to be made?
I'll make a motion to approve the past Resolution 7, 2024, authorizing the submission of the amendment for TXCDBG project number CDV 210095 to remove the sewer improvement work.
Go ahead and second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve change order number 1 for TXCDBG project number CDV 2021-095.
My apologies. What I told you before was the actual change order. The first one you did was just the wording, the resolution to support that. So same information, just wrong order.
Any questions or comments or motions at this time?
I make a motion to take the action and change on order number 1 for the TDCDB project number CDV 21-0095.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to approve a service agreement for the 2024 Cowboy Cook-Off. Awesome. Mark?
I'll introduce rodeo folk or cowboy cook-off folks or both. Larry Cantu can start off.
Welcome.
First of all, I want to thank the city commission, the administrators, and all the staff for the wonderful help you give the Los Fresnos Cook-Off and the rodeo. Without your support and your help, it would be very difficult for us to put on these family fun events. But the Cowboy Cook-Off, we hope that you can extend your support again and being a sponsor as you were last year at the $1,500 level, which is the events, one of the event sponsors. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Yes, I do. It's been going on for about how many years
This is
now?
our 7th annual, and last year we had over 42 teams. This year, we already have 18 teams sign up. Teams coming in from San Antonio and other areas. So it is becoming more popular. People are excited about it. Hear a lot of good things from the teams. And then we try to get the community involved by having our market days, a car show. We have live music. HEB is going to be giving out samples and stuff for their deal. They're another big sponsor this year. And it'll be an exciting, a fun time, something else that we can give the community of Los Fresnos, the fans, the people here to have something to do.
I've been to several, volunteered in several. I just want to tell you guys do an amazing job. I do appreciate, just to let everybody know, I am also part of the rodeo committee, so I know the efforts that gets put behind that. I just want to also offer you all, an opportunity too for marketing. We just got a digital billboard put up. The city was giving 1,000 hours a month, and I don't know, that may be a conversation between you and Mark to see if maybe we can help out with advertisement as well.
I appreciate that, thank you. The other thing I would like to offer, we always look for judges to judge some of the meets that are presented there, and that is open at our website at lfrodeo.com. So if you want to be a judge and taste some outstanding stuff out there, go to there, and it's first come, first serve. So if you sign up early, you'll have a good chance of being a judge, and you can pick the category you want to judge in.
Mr. Cantu, will you be having school teams participate this year?
Yeah, we will have high school teams competing, and then we also have a kids queue, and this is kids from 6 to 10 and from 11 to 18. We provide them with barbecue pits, with the meat they're cooking. We light all their charcoals for them and so forth. They get a T-shirt, and they get to take their barbecue pit home with them so they can practice more.
It's a nice gesture. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to approve the service agreement for the 2024 Cowboy Cook-Off.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. See you this year.
Thank
at
you.
the cook-off. Consideration and action to approve a service agreement for the 2025 Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show. Mark?
Valerie Alice Mendez here. She is the president, I guess you'll call president or chairman. She's the boss of the stock show. She will give you some information.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I'm Valerie, as Mr. Milam said. I've been with the Livestock Show as an official person since 2005. And when I came here and took over, we were still in tents over there. So we've grown quite a bit. And this year we look to add, I think we're getting 40-some pens from hogs that we're purchasing secondhand from the Houston Livestock Show. We got a good buy on them to replace or to add hog pens because we were at capacity this past year. We had no more room for pigs. And so we continue to grow. Last year we had 563 entries overall in the show. In 23, and in 24 we were 669 total entries. So our numbers continue to grow. We continue to do scholarships, and last year we gave out $10,000 in scholarships with the help of the city of Los Fresnos, okay? So every child that submitted an application for a scholarship received a scholarship, as long as they had a completed packet. And this year, there was nobody that had an incomplete packet or scholarship application. So $10,000 in scholarships were paid out this year again. And so we look forward to maybe having an increase in the support from the city to maybe increase that scholarship amount. Because, you know, school is not cheap for these kids to go to. And we want to encourage their higher education. So any support or increase in support from the city of Los Fresnos would be greatly appreciated. And we thank y'all for all the years that you have been supporting us.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the service agreement for the 2025 Cameron County Fair Livestock Show.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to approve a service agreement for the 2025 Los Fresnos Rodeo. Mr. Cantu?
Again, thank you for allowing us the opportunity for continued support of the rodeo. We ask that you support us in the same sponsorship items you've had in the past, which were a platinum sponsor, a Saturday concert sponsor, Skybox. That's what y'all done. Now, there is a little bit of an increase that, you know, since last year. We're trying to make quite a few improvements to the rodeo grounds. We gave out 32 $1,500 scholarships to students in Los Fresnos and surrounding communities. So your support helps us in all these endeavors, and it is one of probably the showcase events that we have here, not only in Los Fresnos, but Cameron County. So it's, we really strive to make it a good show for the spectators that come and watch us. So a lot of hardworking people behind this. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Questions or comments? I know we're always excited about the rodeo. Is there any motions to be made?
First of all, I want to start by thank you guys. You do a great job out there. And sometimes it's raining and pouring, and you're still out there behind those horses and all that stuff. So thank you for all that. And I also make approve to service the agreement for the 2025 Los Fresnos Rodeo. I approve.
Okay, motion has been made
I'll second.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Thank
All
you
those who
again.
opposed do the same. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Cantu.
Thank you. And again, last year we had a little bit of weather, but believe it or not, we had great spectators show up. 98% on Friday, and Saturday, Sunday were sellouts. So
Well, I got to use my 4x4 out there for
Yeah,
the
we
first
did.
time, so I really enjoyed
Okay.
that.
thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll move on to consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the Los Fresnos Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Champion, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. With me this evening is my team member, Terry Sandate. Although my report is very interesting and has a lot of useful and interesting information, I will not read it all because it will take too long, and then I'll have to invite all of you to dinner. But I will invite your attention on the first page to the paragraph labeled Community Events. We organize the 7 community events that we do every year, but last year we also organized an 8th event, and that was the Los Fresnos Candidate Forum. It is the Chamber's duty to provide the community with information that may be useful for their endeavors. Accordingly, we organized a very successful mayoral and City Council Candidates Forum last October. It afforded the opportunity to the community to hear from candidates and learn about their platforms. Now I would invite your attention now on page 2 to the first paragraph labeled Chamber's Membership. In calendar year 2023, last year, we acquired 44 new members, which is an average of about 4 new members every month. So far this year, we have acquired 30 new members. Indications are that we will have another banner year. It is interesting to note that almost 40% of the new members this year are from neighboring communities. One of the 2 Brownsville members is the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. We are particularly proud of this capture because the planning and the plotting and the scheming, which took several months, was a collaborative endeavor between the Chamber and City Council, Gabriela Fernandez. In the past 10 years, the Chamber has supported 449 members. As of right now, we have 184 active members. Now I would invite your attention to the next page and the paragraph labeled Monthly Stipend Increase Consideration. Mr. Mayor and council members, if I were to be asked for an amount of the increase to our stipend, I would have to reply, the maximum amount your budget allows. I have served the Chamber as Executive Director for the last 10 years, and at some point, it's logical to expect I will be moving on, and so will Terry. At this point, I cannot speculate as to when I might be moving on, and nobody knows when Terry will move on. She might go before me, or after me, or at the same time. When the time comes, it is our desire to leave the Chamber in the strongest financial position possible so that the Chamber Board can attract qualified candidates to replace us. We are grateful for your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Val, and definitely understand the stipend. And where do you plan to put that stipend, and how is that going to improve as far as what are your plans with that stipend increase?
As mentioned, we would like to have the Chamber in the strongest possible financial position so that when the time comes, the Chamber Board can attract qualified personnel. Because we'd love to see our Chamber continue or maybe even increase, but we sure don't want it to fall in the ditch.
That's understood, Mr. Champion, but we could always make that a proposition when that time comes as well, to make sure we get the best, most qualified. I know prices do change depending on the individuals and qualifications. But like you mentioned, we don't know when this will happen. To do this on the foreseeable future is, I mean, we would like to, if anything, if that stipend is going to go to increase internships, other things in that nature, I would feel a little bit more comfortable if the answer came that way.
I would like to suggest that in addition to whatever the increase of the stipend is, that the Chamber, and perhaps in collaboration with members of the City Council, do a study to find out, well, what are these positions going for in a small city that is growing very much with a population of around 10,000. And then when we find out what that number is, because we don't know right now, then maybe we can design our approach in a logical fashion.
Mark, I know we're working on budget processes throughout this month. I don't know if this is something we want to table. I don't know if you guys are, it's up, I mean, I
Well,
know
I wanted
I'm
to see
one
if
of five.
anybody else had questions. Is there any other questions from the rest of the council?
I had a
I-
question.
No, go ahead, go ahead. Okay, I do have a comment. It is very important, the position that we have, that we currently have as, having a Chamber of Commerce in the city. Being part of the board, I see how the city is growing very fast, and in order to accomplish every event that we do every year, of course, we require a little bit more funding. I would definitely like to table this and take it to closed session in order to discuss how much do we can't? No?
Yeah, it's open.
What
open.
about table it in order to do a study and see what would be the way of increasing if
Is
this is
this,
approved?
yeah, the only question, I guess, Mark, is this something now? Because I think it's a very interesting, like Mr. Champion said, we can find a few cities here in the valley, see the cost and see what we come up with, and we may have that, or and maybe actually more. I mean, who knows? But I think if we are going to get prepared, and I know Mr. Val Champion is being here very honest on, future is, unknown, and so I think it's best that we actually make this decision with a little bit more information.
I know, Commissioner, you had something you wanted to share?
Well, my question was about that we're working on budgets, and I think that after working on a budget, or maybe tabling this one for our next meeting, and coming up with, maybe you can come up with some of the information that we need, so that everybody has it, and we can make a decision back based on that while we work on the budget, and we can see if there's anything that funding that we can provide to you. Can we do that?
That sounds very logical to me, and I appreciate that. We will collaborate with the council in any way that we can.
Also, I had a second request for you. Based on the grand openings that we've seen with Brownsville and the grand openings that we've seen here, I think Alex had mentioned before that we wanted to help the chamber with coming up with more equipment and stuff like that you guys can use, kind of what Brownsville has to make a nicer grand opening for our businesses that are having here. So if also you can provide some of that information or get some pricing stuff so that we can look into that. And once we decide on the budgets, maybe we can make a recommendation
We can incorporate
on
that
that.
as well. And maybe the music entertainment that we have at the events, I know that you do an awesome job, you and Terry, but I see the same band every single event, and I would like to see a little bit of a change up there. Maybe not necessarily them every event, but them and then somebody else, and maybe just kind of share a little bit more different, just a different kind of entertainment there at times in some of the events. But yeah, we want to help. I just don't know if maybe this is not enough. Maybe we need to incorporate, like you said, more equipment, get a little bit more of a view of what it is we're trying to plan for, so we can make this the best decision, so.
Just to hit on what Mayor just said right now in terms of, you guys have done a phenomenal job. We've been seeing the increase in sales taxes. We've been seeing the increase in the membership into the Chamber of Commerce. I know you guys have been very busy. I have seen those emails also because I am signed into that email log. And Conjunto Festival has been very successful and has been increasing over the last few years. And I think we have actually maximized everything we could there. I'm actually thinking if it needs to get moved to either the rodeo grounds, which have stages available, or the canopy behind the Lions Club, because you guys have done a phenomenal job. I think at this point, I think we can actually, go at it a little bit more with the confidence that you guys have been putting in there for the last few years.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table this, with the specification that you'll get us, some of that information for our next meeting, and then we can look at the budget and see how we can help you guys out.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Val. We appreciate everything y'all do. Moving on to action item number 7, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint Enrique Juarez, Place 1, and Pedro Maldonado, Place 2, to the CDC Community Development Corporation.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, normally we do this in February, and because we had lost 2 members, we appointed them and forgot the other 2, so we just want to catch up and make this, catch up on these 2 that we overlooked. So our recommendation is to reappoint those.
This appointment will go back to February, right?
Yes.
Okay, motion or questions at this time, or a motion to be made?
I'll make a motion to approve the reappointment of Enrique Juarez, Place 1, and Pedro Maldonado, Place 2, for the Community Development Corporation.
Okay, motion has been made
I'll second.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. Discussion and review of applications received for upcoming vacancies and current members in the following boards and positions: Planning and Zoning Commissioner, Place 1, Robert Walstorf; Place 2, Jacob Osanga; Place 3, Larry Stomball; Place 4, Juan Sierra; Park Advisory Board, Place 1, Gil Gomez; Place 2, Eduardo Lugo; Place 3, Natasha Taylor; Housing Authority Board, Place 4, Alejandro Juarez; Place 5, Laura Rodriguez. This is just an indication. This is no action to be taken, just to let you know that these positions will be coming up. And as of right now, we have 1 person available to serve. And if you know anybody, I think it's coming up for next month. So
Correct. Y'all had asked that we, instead of bringing it up that one meeting, to bring it up as a discussion to get your mind going, to be sure that you want to reappoint those or appoint someone new, and then next meeting is when we'll actually take that action.
I have a question. Are we posting this anywhere on our social media or anything, or are we just doing it by applications that come in?
Just applications that come in. Because if you, I caution you not to do that, because you'll get that really don't want to. If they want to, they're coming in and saying, hey, I want to serve.
Okay,
This
no
is
action
my
to be,
recommendation.
and at this time, no action to be taken. This is just to have any kind of discussion, and again, this will be on the next meeting agenda item, coming up next month, correct? So we'll go ahead and move forward. No action taken. Consideration and action to acknowledge the Finance Director certification of the estimated ad valorem tax collection rate for 2024 and the excess debt tax collections for 2024 tax year. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the estimated tax collection rate is in excess of 93.8%. There's a formula that goes into that. It's lower than it has been, but usually we have a lot of collections from prior years that'll offset it, but we've collected all of those, so that is good. And then there were some refunds that impacted that 93.8, because usually it's 97 to 100%. So still, with that amount, the excess debt collected was $46,414. So budget's still doing well and doing fine.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, if there's a motion to be made.
I'll make a motion to approve, to acknowledge the Finance Director's certification of the estimated volume tax collection rate for 2024 and the excess debt tax collection for 2024 tax year.
Okay, motion has been made
I second that.
and motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to acknowledge the Cameron Appraisal District Chief Appraiser's certification of the 2024 tax roll.
2024 tax roll is 515,697,610. That's an increase of a little over 60 million or 13%. Of that, 20,000, about a third of it is new development. So that is good additional funding for the city. So that's the tax roll.
It's a pretty good tax roll. Any questions or comments? Not if there's a motion to be made.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the Cameron Appraisal District Chief Appraiser certification for the 2024 tax roll.
Okay, motion has been made to acknowledge. Second.
I second.
And motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to acknowledge the calculations of the city's no new revenue and voter approval tax rate for tax year 2024 and for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, on this item, by state law, we're tasked to give you and the residents a figure that shows what would get the same exact dollars of property tax this year based on this year's valuations compared to last year. And so that figure is 0.656395. Our actual tax rate last year was 68.5. So you can see it'll take a little bit less dollars to get the same, little bit less tax rate to get the same dollars. And that difference is 416,000. So 65 versus 68.5. Then the other one is a voter approval tax rate, which is a rate that you as a elected body could increase the taxes to before the public could ask for rollback voter election. And actually now, even if you go over that rate, even if they don't ask, you have to go to the voters to ask if you want to do that. So it's kind of a moot point. But that figure is 1.08708, so it's quite high. We would never dream of going there.
Any questions, comments, or motion to be made at this time?
I make a motion to approve the knowledge of the calculation of the city's no new revenue and the voter approval tax rate of taxes year 2024 for the fiscal year of 24 and 25.
Motion has been made
I'll go ahead and second.
and motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to propose a tax rate for tax year 2024. Take a record vote if proposed tax rate exceeds the lower of the no new revenue or voter approval, and set dates for public hearings if necessary. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if you'll see my notes, I rambled a little bit and went on, but I wanted you to have the information. Our proposal and our proposed budget that we're going to be presenting over the next few weeks is based on the same property tax rate at 68.5. If you'll recall, the same was 60, to get the same numbers would be 65 something. So we will enjoy a little bit of increase, but it's needed for several things. And until we get through the budget, you'll see those items. So I also showed you kind of what the impact of 1 penny does. And because two years ago we went down 1 penny, and then last year we went down 2 pennies, and the effects of that over just a 3-year period is, $325,000 that probably some people in town would love to have something else at the park or something else at
Well, I mean,
the
if anything,
street, so.
the streets, sewers, the pumps and
Just
lift stations and stuff
go
that
on
we
and
can
on,
put it
so.
on and on and on.
Don't get me wrong, I love the tax decrease too, but I'm also wearing the hat of, putting the things that, our public continues to ask for, so.
No,
we gotta
and
balance
with that,
that.
with that, Mark, we take that with much respect because you do have to oversee the whole city. You are city manager. And I know us as public officials, we try to do the best. We hear information and hear from all sides just as much as you do as well, right? But we do have a city to run. So we do thank you. And if I don't see any changes and we're gonna stay at that 0.685, I really don't have a problem with that.
And Mark, and I can recall in 2022, when we did this, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, Producer Price Index, was at an all-time high. It was at 9%. People's property taxes went up so high. Citizens were looking for a small relief, and even though this may have not been a major relief, it was some relief, and I know we repeated that last year, and I think that was good. But, you know, we're getting into recessionary times where maybe things will get a little challenging, so we need every penny in the account now in order to accomplish the work that we need to get done. So just like we said right now, keep it the same, and to me, that's good. So I don't know about the rest of the board, or if there's a motion to be made.
And I, just so y'all know, what it does is you can do a vote, but you have to, each individual vote yes or no for the proposed, which is 68.5. Doesn't mean that you have another meeting and you come up with stuff, or another meeting and you go up or down from there, but this is proposed.
Luis Gonzalez, please.
Okay.
Votes yes on the proposal.
I don't know.
Yep.
Do we?
Yes, each one.
And
Yep.
go ahead.
I'll go ahead and do a yes on my vote.
I say a yea on the 0.685.
I say yes on the proposal.
And I say yes as well to keeping it where it's at. Thank you.
Oliver, you got my first? Yeah.
Okay, so we are good to continue to move forward. At this time, we'll move on to the acknowledgement of the city manager's reports. Mark, is there any updates or reports?
I did want to comment on a couple of them. The street project. If you've got any calls around folks that live around Alamo, South Alamo, they're very patient, but it's getting towards the end, so I think they finished the sewer part today. They'll be doing the street repaving, very deep line, 18-inch line, working with 18-inch sewer line that has to be exactly level, compacted so it doesn't change over time. Takes a long time, so been a while, but in case people have called you, that's the relief is coming soon. Veterans Memorial, if you've driven by, you see a lot of changes. It's looking good. Can't wait till it's over. I told them today that they were challenging doing that as long as it took to build this whole building, so.
Yeah, that's the
anyway,
truth.
Been some issues, but it's looking good, and we'll have a finished product that is we can be proud of, everybody. The last one is the CDC capital improvement program that is something that we propose each year. It's a committee made up of the park board as well as the CDC board, and they look at really quality of life items, and you'll see on page 130 that list, and it's been updated according to that board. And so on page 130 and 131, you see all the things that have been accomplished in this current budget year we're in. So lots of good things happened. And then on page 131 and 132 are items that we're trying to get fit into budget, get either CDC pay for them or city general fund pay for them. And then the future years is out 2 to 5 years, what does the picture look like so that we can be prepared. Also, it helps for grant opportunities if people know that, hey, we're looking at some of this stuff. And so if you don't ever put it on paper, it'll never happen. So we've got it on paper, and I just wanted y'all to be able to be sure that you saw that. And that's all my report.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I know we had a lot of rainfall over this past month. The drainage ditches that were expanded did its job, and no, it's not the hurricane we were expecting a month ago, and I thank God that it didn't happen. But it seems everything seems to be working with those drainage ditches. Anything you've heard on that end? On the expansions of I know, how did they call them, the primary and the secondaries?
Yes, hopefully in the next couple of months, well, I say after the budget year, in October and November, they want to bring some proposals to us to maybe work together to get some of those done. They're saying they can't do them all themselves, so we're open to
And they is a drainage
drainage
district.
district, Cameron County Drainage District number 1.
Thank you, Mark.
Is there a motion to be made? Or any more questions?
Acknowledgement of city manager's report.
Motion has been made
I second it.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. At this time, we'll be acknowledging the department head reports. There's a total of 6. Questions, comments, or motion?
First is, how's Chief doing?
Doing real well. Talked to his wife this afternoon. He's in recovery and doing good. So for those that didn't know, he had a triple bypass and a heart valve replacement. So doing very well.
Thank God for that. Thank you very much for that information, Mark. Any other questions or comments in regards to the department head reports?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to acknowledge the department head reports.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. At this time, we'll be going to closed session in accordance to section 551.071, the Texas Open Meetings Act, consultation with attorney to deliberate pending or contemplated litigation regarding the annexation of the city's ETJ. We'll also be doing closed session to deliberate pursuant to section 551.072, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, regarding the following: to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate property. And finally, deliberation pursuant to section 551.087, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, regarding the following: to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the government body has received from a business prospect that the government body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the government body and with which the government body is conducting economic development negotiations, or to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect described by subdivision. At this time, it's 6:44. We'll go ahead and move to closed session.
Hey, take care. Have a good one.
Council, we'll go ahead and open this at 7:33. Open session in accordance to Section 551071, the Texas Open Meetings Act, deliberation and possible action regarding consultation with attorney on pending or contemplated litigation regarding the annexation of the city's ETJ. No action taken at this time. Open session, deliberation and possible action regarding the following: 551.072 to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate property. No action taken at this time. Open session, deliberation and possible action regarding the following: Section 551087, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, regarding the following: to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the government body has received from a business prospect that the government body seeks to have locate or stay or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body, and with which governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations, to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect described by subdivision. No action taken at this time. And we'll go ahead and move on to our budget workshop, fiscal year 2024 and 2025.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if you'll turn in your booklet first to page number 1. Want to real quickly go over revenue. There's a lot of things that, you know, the revenues are history tells really what they're going to be. We can't dream up stuff, so it's pretty well using past knowledge and the recent history to be able to make those assumptions. I feel like we're very good at it. We're always conservative on the revenues, so that at the end of the year, we're not saying, oh, we messed up and we put our budget too high on property tax and it didn't come in, so then we're scrambling about because we don't have enough budget money. Generally speaking, well, all the years that I've been here, we've always had excess, so that's better than you can spend it on projects that are dear and important to you. So the first part, there's a little section that just kind of summarizes it in different categories. Revenues, we're projecting about 6.2 million, and then the same way with expenditures. In our general fund, we do all these funds of a zero balance. We don't make profit, so we put it all in. Yes, at the end of the year, there could be surplus, there could be a deficit, but once again, we're always surplus. Looks like we're going to be not quite 200 into the good at the end of this year, which is good. Last year we had about 83. Into the revenue projections, if you'll see where it says operational revenue about halfway down, the first line says current property taxes, and you go across, you say 1.3 million, 1.8, 1.8, which is our budget and our projected, and then it drops to 1.3, and you go, oh, what's going on? It's a different way that we're having to report. We're still getting property tax, but our debt that is serviced by our water and sewer funds has to be, we use revenue from the water and sewer fund to pay those debts. But the state of Texas Water Development Board says you have to promise that you'll have enough revenues, and if you don't, you have to use tax money to do it. And of course, we've never failed. Now they say, well, you need to report it that shows it under tax. So we've moved that all out of here, some of that debt out of here to our debt fund, which you'll see in a minute that is increased by 1.1 million. So this shows some of that debt out of there, 448,000 to be exact, from last year. Still getting the same, we're doing fine. It's just the way they want us to report it. So then if we default on the sewer revenue part, they can come to our taxes and say, hey, you have to pay it from your tax money. That's all the difference is. The rest of those line items are about the same. The discounts and delinquent taxes. City sales tax is the next big one. if you see a continued growth, 1.8 million, we projected low, 1.7. We're gonna hit over 1.9, and then we're projecting a 4% increase. We've had like 18, 15, 10, and 10 the last few years, so 4% is still conservative, but it gives us some wiggle room. Garbage collection residential, you see it was 44, we budgeted 40, we're only gonna hit about 26. As one of the things that I failed to do last year. If you'll remember, I proposed to go up on the carts, a couple bucks, and y'all said no. We didn't go back and change it, and we still showed the revenue. We're still gonna be okay over our overall budget, but we showed the 40 where we're only gonna end up about 26. If it goes up another 4%, which probably will, we get notified usually in the 1st of September, right about this time, we might have to adjust because we might be paying more for the cart than the residents are paying us. But we'll see that when the time comes. So we're projecting that it'll be the same if there's no cost increase at 26. The others are about the same. You can see there's not very much change. Municipal court fines, we did 575 almost last year. We only projected 545. We had some collections, some old debt collections, so we're gonna hit about 730. We still don't wanna put that every year because we don't have the old debt, so we're still doing conservative at 650. The other piece to that, we don't want it to be I have to reach so much amount of dollars. We don't want that to ever be part of the program, so that number is 650. The other fines that are below that are state required, when they're added to a ticket, whether it's truancy, whether it's jury or judge, security, all those little are added to each one, so that all goes back. I say all of it, not all of it. Some of it goes to us. We keep the tech, we keep the judge and security. Most of the other goes back to the state of Texas. So you can see we're projecting 780 for there. The next section at the bottom is grants that we have. You're familiar with Operation Stone Garden. It's the police where they help out. Same with Border Star. Those are the first two big ones. Our grants are going to be about 81 and 50 for that. Community health program continues to be at 60,000. And then the next one is Homeland Security for 32,500, and that was approved by y'all meeting ago or 2 meetings ago for radios. Hector was able to get a grant for that. So the bottom there is the service contract with the school district, and what that does is they provide usually not jail service because you can't put a minor in a jail cell, but sometimes there's a use for someone over that age, but they use our radio system and pay for our radio system, and they also use the range. So that's part of the dollars there, the 28,000. They haven't done it as much because now that they have officers at every school, but prior years we've helped them on football nights and graduation. Last graduation we didn't help much because they have the staffing now to be able to do that, but it's money available that in case they need our help. The next page for revenue is hotel motel tax. It's pretty steady. It hasn't gone up much or down much. And then all those other ones are franchise fees, and they're set by contract way in advance, so we don't have really a chance to change any of those from year to year. A few of them go up over time. And so you can see our budget was 441. We're going to hit about 446, and we're budgeting 446, so we're being very conservative. The whole next section is.
Quick question.
Yes. It goes to,
Sorry, hard
like on your phone bill, AEP, and they remit, some of them are once a year, some of them are quarterly, that we receive those, yes. The shooting range is one different, it's just, most of that is Border Patrol that uses, the shooting range. Interest earned, you can see about halfway down in that section is continued to increase because interest rates, if they start dropping, we'll lose some of that. That's why we're projecting we're gonna hit about 130, and that's probably conservative, but we didn't go 130 because interest rates will probably come down. Most people are hoping. I did want to point out license and permits, because that's tied into expense when we pay inspectors. This is revenue that way above that amount. In fact, we'll hit over 180 this year. And that's inspections, and the fees pay for the inspection and then half again for the reviews of the plan. So all of that's covered. Plat reviews, you can see a little bit further down from there. We just have so much development. It's a good thing to have, bad thing to have, depends on how you look at it. But that's looks like it's gonna be about 20,000. Just down from there is credit card processing fees, and you'll see this when we talk next week about water and sewer.
Court, I'm assuming.
This is court. It's just, they pay the fees on the fine, but credit cards are becoming more, 5 years ago, we probably didn't do $5,000 worth, and so now we're up to 20, 25, and then that doesn't even include water and sewer part, so just change in life and the way people use their credit cards.
I have a question on that. So, for example, like county has gone to where they're adding the 3% to the fees. Is that something that we can do at a later point, or?
What's that?
Like county, for example, I went last week to file paperwork, and now they have, if you're paying with a credit card, you pay the 3% or whatever the fee is ahead of that. The person that's making the purchase or the paying of the fee or whatever, is that something that we can try at a later point or no?
That's what that is. This is the fees.
That's why, but that's the revenue that we're getting from the persons, right?
Yes.
So we're getting it.
Yeah.
And we're just paying it out.
Huh?
Getting that 3% and we're paying it out to them.
Right. Right, yes, sir. Yeah, I didn't explain that right. Yeah. There's some charges, credit card processing fees that are on the outgoing side. This is the incoming side. Yes. I didn't explain that good. At the bottom of that section is reimbursement fire and EMS. Just wanted people, they wonder what is this piece? They do insurance through TML, through the city as a private contractor or a public contractor. They're able to do that by law. And so whatever those bills are, they just, we pay it and then they pay us back the exact amount. So it just flows through the city, through TML. The other piece, the $736,370. Remember, I told you about the flow of way Water Development Board wants to see that fee. That's where it ties the debt that we have from water and sewer into the general fund so that they can be assured that they're going to get their money. It's just an accounting error not an error, accounting practice that they want us to start doing. Didn't change anything. Any questions on revenue? pretty straightforward. If you'll get back to the CDC, which is page 12. As you know, that's funded strictly by 1/4% of the sales tax. Once again, we're projecting 680, which is a 4% increase, and we got a little bit of interest, and that's how they operate, the funding that they operate. Salaries, we have a couple part-time people that work through the year to help. So that salaries and then all of their expenses there is there. Professional services is Desi Martinez that helps us out. His has been the same for several years. We have a 5.2% increase since that hadn't changed in quite a while. The business and recruitment development at 15,000. That's for the chamber helps in that piece, and that went up from 15 to 18. This budget has been approved by CDC board already on last Monday night. So you might consider that as you consider.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Just with a little bit of this information's coming in, so now it gives us a clearer picture of what's happening.
So that's an additional 3,000 that they're getting. The next piece that I wanted to mention, city promotion and advertising. If you recall, we only mention it about once a year, so you might not recall, it can be only 10% of your total revenue of sales tax. So that's why the two promotion and advertising add up to $67,080. And that money is everything we use for rodeo, stock show, Conjunto Festival, Christmas in the Park, all those events. And the other piece that the CDC board did is increase the chamber's pay from 1,000 event to 1,250. So, because we help fund that event, even though the chamber kind of runs it for us, they fund it. So that's when you, besides the 42 on the general fund that was talked about earlier, there's 18 plus another 5,000 for those events. So, you know, it's a total of $65,000. I know he wants more, but that's quite a chunk of funding, in my opinion. As you go down special projects, we're budgeting 188,416, and that's just something that comes up that maybe a developer comes in and says, hey, I need a gas line over here, and it'll take X amount of money to get it from point A to point B, and we help out on those. So it's a special project. Maybe it's an alley that needs to be repaved, that all has to be tied to business. So that's what we use special project money for. Capital outlay, we separated that out separately this time. The $299,800 for this current year is all of the money that was budgeted years ago for the Veterans Memorial, as well as some of the street projects that had to do right around the business neighborhoods, business development area, not in residential, but in the business. So that's the $299,800, and then to finish those projects, we've got budgeted $101,800, which that money's already been set aside for years. So, but we did want to show that separate. Business incentive program is where they do grants for signs, grants for landscaping, grants for storefront improvements, and so they set that aside. The last one I want to talk about is transfer debt service. CDC has been very helpful to the city in so many ways, but this one specifically, in 2005 we did a street project. It was a 20-year commitment, $20,000, and when they did some of the streets, it helped the business.
And they have to have business or commercial property on
Correct.
that business.
And so that was 20,000 a year. The good thing for them, this is the last year for that payment, but it also is the last year for the city's payment on that debt too, so that pays off after this year. In 2014, we did a bunch of upgrades to the west, and I call it Walmart area just because we did it because of that, but we built a huge lift station to handle sewer flows for that whole end of town so that we don't have to come back every few years and do upgrades. We did it once. We put in Evergreen Street. And so part of that commitment, the CDC board committed to $25,000. And that runs through 2034. In 2020, Texas Water Development Board, we did a water project, and CDC agreed to put in some money this year. It's $57,986. That's in that transfer debt service to INS. And then for sewer part, they're putting in another $15,078. So you can see they're a very good partner. And once again, that's only water and sewer, and it's the ones that are going down 100 that we extended that way. And then we're projecting in, if we continue with the project I proposed a couple of months ago about doing some street repairs for our next phase, to borrow the money because we could identify the streets like around Wells Fargo, around that area, up to $150,000 for 4 years, so they've committed to that. So that 268 makes that number. That makes sense? So their budget is balanced except for the capital improvements of $101,800, which that's money that they had saved, so that's their budget. Any questions on that? The next one we'll do is the debt fund. Again, this is, you know, you just take what debt payments you have to make and you schedule them out, and you can see Pablo's done a good job of scheduling those out. You can see that here helps you to see where the debt, the way Texas Water Development Board wants us to show on paper. You know, we projected, the budgeted and projected was a little over $1 million last year. Now it's going to be 2.1. Why? Because we're putting all of the debt from everything in here and then dispersing it out that way. So it doesn't change our debt ratio. It doesn't change our how much we owe. We didn't borrow any more money. It's just showing it all the way they wanted to show it. And so that's how much comes in and how much goes out. Any questions on that? The next one is senior citizens, and it's the grant that we have for to run the senior citizen program. And you'll see that we've asked for an increase from $79,494 to $102. They said they have approved it. What Jackie wants to do is have I think you call it events coordinator? Activities, I'm sorry. Activities coordinator, that the person, that's what they specialize in, and activities for the folks,
Seniors
the
and
seniors
stuff.
that are there.
Now, is this part of the
Part-time.
summer also programs?
12 months out of the year. It will just be a part-time position, but it'll be paid fully by the grant. So I think it'll be good benefits to the program, to the seniors. Besides that,
No, before we go, who actually runs that? I'm curious, like right now in this.
Lupita Garcia,
Lupita?
and she reports to Jackie. And then the events coordinator will report to Jackie. And the rest of the line items just fall in there. The grant pretty well tells us what we can spend and where, so. Any questions on that? The TERS fund is the last one that we'll go over tonight. Revenues are gonna be at $811,895. Expenditures only 523 because we will look to borrow some money, if you'll recall, in that street project that I talked about. Specifically, Canal Street, Mesquite Street, leading and coming from Lopez Reagan's really needs upgrade. So what that does is you can see it increases our debt by about 190,000 if we do that new debt. And we're budgeting like we're going to do it. If we don't do it, we'll amend the budget. But we'd like to do that to get that work done. And of course, that would have to be the TERS board, which would be this as the six of you plus Commissioner Garza for TERS 1 board. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
Before we close, I want to touch on the 2 pages so that you can study them. The first one says City of Los Furnace General Fund. And what we have in the budget right now is a cost of living increase of 3%, and you can see that dollar. There's 3 columns. One says funded in 23-24, which I'm going to recommend that we fund those this year because we have excess funds. And then the middle column is funded in 24-25, which is the budget we're working on. And then unfunded amount means that it's a dream, or it's something that you have asked or citizens have asked and became in something that we felt we needed to put on the sheet. So so the cost of living is there. The cost of living increase from 4 to 3. We would have rather done a 4%, but it just can't fit into the budget. So I wanted you to be able to know that why couldn't you do it? Well, it's an extra almost $26,000. We just don't, if you want us to do that, well then we have to find 26 to take out. So the next one is scanning of permanent records.
Yes, we talked about this in terms of courts, but what else was that? Just if you can refresh my mind.
All kinds of permanent records, Jackie. You deal with plats, everything, right?
Yeah, permanent records are only like our agendas and local permits. Court records are not permanent. They have a predefined retention period.
As time goes on, permanent records just increase and increase and increase. And so if we can scan them, digitalize them, it'll create room up here in our storage room for more. But that's a future, and it's something we need to keep on the list, and hopefully we can fund that next year or the following year, or maybe at the end of one year where we feel like it's good. Project management module and payroll module. We use 2 different systems right now, and we want to move it all into one. We've got a time card system, and then we've got a payroll service, and we got it's just disjointed, and so we want to put that all under one roof, so to speak, and that would be the cost to make that happen. Drive-through system, we have some extra funds. We would like to do that now, and that's something I'll bring the next meeting.
Is that an upgrade or just?
Total redo it. The system we have was a low bid. When the building was built, the company's out of Houston. They don't provide very good service. Like right now, we've got lane 1 down. Over the last probably 3 or 4 months, we've had 1 or both down, and their response time is anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
I know right now you have the 22, right? Do you foresee any engineering issues they would have to
No.
tear down? None of that?
We've got a quote. This is the reason why we've got that figure. and it's from a local company that does banks here, and so they're in the area. The next piece is police communication officers, $2 adjustment. We want to make that part. When we did a salary schedule, they'll talk about it next week, but the other communication officers around are making substantially more. $2 will get them up into a range where we hopefully won't lose people. The base right now is 14. You get certified, you can get to 15. We want to move that to 17 because, I mean, they're going to work at McDonald's and can make 15, so lots to be a certified communications officer, so we want to make that. Did another police officer study. They've gone up unbelievable again. We can't make that jump this year. There's just no way possible. You can see it would be $83,000, so, but we need to know what those numbers are and what that looks like in the future. The next one is radios. If you'll remember, we got a grant in the revenue part. I said 32.5. We wanted to get an even number of radios, and so we added, what is that, another 20,000, 17,000 to be able to get a few more radios, because ours are outdated. Roof on the police station, we got a couple leaks, and it's time. We had done previous years the community center, and we also did the library, so we'd like to get that and do that here quick. Then vehicle lease, you already did that and also approved the body worn cameras. Y'all approved that prior meetings. The next one, streets CBDG match. That's a grant that we're getting for streets on upgrade on 9th Street, 7th Street, and 5th Street on the west side. Y'all had already approved that project. Unfunded would be $100,000 in street projects. We like to put that. I hate that that's not going to be there. That's for something that comes up last minute. So we just don't have the dollars. But if we do these other projects, we will be just fine for a year not having that. The next two lines are half streets, half parks. Public Works Manager. And what that would do is report to Carlos. Role is right now Public Works Manager. He would move from Public Works Manager to Utility Manager, which would, his sole focus would be water and wastewater, which is
I think that's where we're gonna have to get to the point, so we can have one specialized person manning that at all times.
So yes, it's very much needed. We have the new water plant is totally digital, computerized, and so takes very different to run it, operate that now. The Public Works Manager be over parks, streets, drainage, mosquito spraying, all of those kinds that both Carlos and Raul try to do those in addition to running the water and wastewater. So I think that's past needed. It also kind of helps us not pushing Carlos to retirement or me to retirement or anybody to retirement, but we are getting older, so we need to have people that, hey, if one of us not around, we can fill in that. So that would be that starting on that. Still work under Carlos as the Public Works Director, but you would have a Public Works Manager and a Utility Manager under him. Then, I won't go into all of these because it'd take too long, but we've committed to the vehicle lease and the hike and bike trail of $150,000, then some lighting for $6,000. The others are just all kinds of things that people have brought to us. Hey, we need expanded restrooms at every event that we have. If you know, there's never enough. Roof on on the basketball courts, pickleball courts, lighting upgrade for Little League Baseball. Somebody could drop us about $1.5 million, we could do all those things. But I wanted you to see them. Lighting in the library, we want to get that done, as well as redo the floor. We have the funds to do that. The tables and children remodeling, push that for another year. And same way with the trail walk reading. What that is you've seen them do some if you've gone where they, but this would be a permanent display up where they would put a new book every 2 weeks or every month, and you walk along the trail and kids could read. Could be children's book, could be adult's book. So that's another wish. The last thing on this part is a new IT position. With the growing of the city and all of the expertise it takes, we need someone to help Oscar that fixes the machine. Hey, my password's messed up, I can't get in, so that Oscar can focus on the management and the operation of the facility. So we're proposing that and able to get that in there. The other things are just regular IT stuff that we do from time to time. And the last one, it won't take very long, is the next page that says utility fund. Once again, I wanted to show you the water and wastewater is not that as big, so you can see the dollar amount is not near as much because there's not as many people. It's 14,000. Same project payroll manager, and then the other part of the IT positions paid out of there. The rest of them are the same except water meters. We're spending a lot of amount on water meters. We do get that in revenue when people sign up. They have to, when they do a subdivision, they have to pay for that, but it is an expense that is huge. Plus, we're at 14 years with our electronic meters, so we do have more going out. So I did want to show you, we spent about $130,000 this year, and probably should spend that as much, but we don't have that yet. If we'd have another development come in, well, then maybe we have the funds to do that at that time. And then you see the other part of that is water and sewer. It's half and half. This stuff, be glad for you to chew on it. I know it's a lot of information, but it gives you a week to process it instead of me waiting till next week and then you go, what is all this?
Our next meeting is scheduled
A week from today,
next Tuesday.
6 o'clock. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jackie.
Okay, the time is 8:12, 11. We'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you and have a good evening.
I was longer than 30 minutes, sorry.